So, okay, we have built now different chords on the three different scales, the three different minor scales. We still are in the A minor key, but on the different degrees we obtain different chords depending on which scale we are using. So on the first degree, this is the only common chord between the three different scales. This will always be a minor chord. On the second degree, in the case of the natural and harmonic minor scale, we have a diminished chord, but in the case of a melodic minor scale, we have a minor chord. So we can have both a diminished chord and a minor chord. On the third degree, we can have a major chord, but also an augmented chord. On the fourth degree, we can have a minor chord using the natural and harmonic minor scale, but also a major chord using the using the ascending melodic minor scale. On the fifth degree, we can have a minor chord but also a major chord depending on which scale we are using. On the sixth degree, we can have a major chord in the case of a natural and harmonic minor scale, but also we can have a diminished chord. And on the seventh degree, we can have a major chord but also a diminished chord. So we have found out many different chords still remaining in the A minor key. So the fundamental thing we have found out is we are in A minor key. On the same degrees we can build different chords but still remaining in the same minor key. So for example, A minor key, on the fourth degree I can use both a minor or a major chord. On the third degree I can use a major but also an augmented chord. On the sixth degree I can use a major but also I can use a diminished chord depending on which scale I'm using. So since in the important thing is, since in the major key on each degree which have only one chord, in the case of the minor key, depending on the scale we are using, we can choose from different chords on the same degree. So please let me highlight 3 points. The first is, music is not science, but is something artistic. So we are not limited to use, for example, in a song, only one minor scale. We decide, for example, in a song to use the A minor key. But since how can I say, we are not limited to use one minor scale. We can choose from the different chords built on the 3 different scales. So I am able to mix different scale, different chords built on different scales, depending on what? Depending on the moment in which we are. So I can choose the chords depending on the part of the song we are, depending on what I want, what I need in that particular moment. So we will use in a certain moment a chord, for example, from the natural scale, then a chord built on the harmonic scale. This is the first thing. The second point I want to highlight is that the most important thing in all these aspects is that we can use chords which have different properties, because the fact that I can use a major chord on the 3rd degree and an augmented is important. While it's important since these 2 different chords have 2 different properties, 2 different, we could say, sounding. So since on a certain degree I can use I can use chords depending on which kind of atmosphere I need to have in that moment. So if I'm using in a certain degree, I can use, for example, a diminished chord, and I will have a certain atmosphere. But on the same degree, I can use a minor chord too, and this will give me another kind of atmosphere. And this is also important, the fact that I can choose from different chords remaining on the same degree of the same key. It is important also in the case of a succession of chords in which, as we said earlier, I need to have something which is balanced. So the fact that I can choose from different chords let me have much more variety in this sense. I can have a greater variety, but I also can have a balanced section of chords. And the third point I want to highlight in conclusion is that using chords taken from different minor scales, still remaining in the same key, is very often used in the pop music. And this is quite important. So in the next lesson we'll take a look at this with different examples, with some different examples, yes. And so in this way it will be very, very clear and easy, and also, and this is the focus point, you will be able to start composing your own music. Only by starting with these aspects, only knowing these aspects, because everything we learn must be always applied to what we are going to compose, to write, because in this way we are going to put into practice, and so it is ever much clearer for us, because we put it into practice, so we compose our own music, but also we can clarify it better if we do in this way.